to everyone. Namaste. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So welcome back to the sessions on the Bhagavad Gita. A few interesting comments from yesterday's class from both Dr. Sri Krishna and Dr. Raju. So I thought I'll share that with you before we begin today's session. When we see the 12th shloka, let's go back. Let me share my screen. 1 second. So when we go to the 12th shloka, right? Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha tair dattan apradayabhyo yo bhumte stena eva saha. So the devas give you all these gifts, and a person who enjoys these gifts without sharing, he's as good as a thief. So Dr. Sri Krishna made a very interesting point that this is the basis of our income tax and sales tax and all these things. If we are getting so much of money from the marketplace, and the fact that we are getting money from the market means that it is because of the support of so many people in the supply chain, and we give a small part of it back to the government so that this supply chain can be maintained. So whether it's a road system, whether it's a railway system, whether it is the other infrastructure like banks or pension schemes or insurance, all these things can be in place only if we give back part of it. Whereas if we say that whatever I get, everything is for me, then it becomes very problematic. You're almost as good as a thief, almost as good as a holder. So the idea that one is from the government, it is specified that you have to pay so much of income tax or whatever tax, like GST and other things we have in India. Similarly, I'm sure it's there in the US. So one is imposed by the government to support the various schemes. The other one is where we voluntarily share with other people, which is dana, or philanthropy or charity, whatever you call it. So voluntarily, some of us like to keep aside a part of our income for larger welfare, because when we realize that the whole setup is working for our welfare, they are supporting us. Now, the fact that we are able to sit in a room which is safe and secure with a good internet connection requires intervention of so many people. Without their support, we won't be in a comfortable position. So therefore, as a token of gratitude to society, when we have extra, we share it. So that concept of the income tax comes through in this this verse. Then similarly, when in the case of the he has made a comment in the case of the 13th one. Yajna Shishtashinas Santo Muchante Sarvakil Vishaihi Bunjate Te Tvagam Papa Ye Pachantyatma Karana. So people who only cook and eat for themselves, it's almost like they're cooking papa and eating it. It is very, very limited. Whereas when a person has a larger vision, again, it's the same concept, right? For us to get one meal, we are causing so much of trouble to nature. There is no way you can get a nice meal without causing trouble to nature, without harming. And even then, even if you are eating a fruit which has fallen off on its own accord, or even if you are consuming a dry leaf, even that should be done with a sense of gratitude, because you are not the center of the universe. You are one more creature in the universe, and it so happens that you are there at that time, you got this fruit. So that sense of gratitude is very important. And also, I was telling an interesting story about one of his acquaintances who said, who had invited him for lunch and then had made some, parota or something. And she said, this parota is made from scratch. In the sense, she did not go to some Patel store and buy the parota thing. And then he was saying that, if you make parota from scratch, first you have to invent the universe. This is exactly what Carl Sagan said in a famous quotation, that if you want to make apple pie from scratch, first you have to create the universe. Then you can make apple pie from scratch. Otherwise, you're making apple pie from some easily available ingredients in the market. So here there is this idea of whatever we consume, we do it with gratitude, because we are not the inheritors of this, this wealth or whatever. We have been given out of largesse of heart of the society, of the world, and we have to respect that and give back whatever possible. Then Dr. Raju made a very nice observation. Why this question arises in Arjuna's mind. One of the possible, of course, we see in the second chapter, first he talks about Atma, which is the theoretical framework, what he calls as Sankhya. Then he starts talking about yoga. So he has talked about Sankhya and yoga, and these two seem to be conflicting. But in the 49th shloka, where he says, Durena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya, action guided by selfish interest is far inferior to action guided by wisdom. So wisdom is more important than action guided by selfish interest. So maybe Arjuna's question was because of this seeming contradiction in the second chapter. Okay. Now let us go on to, we saw the up to the 16th shloka, where until this point, Krishna is talking about people who don't respect the wheel of life. When they violate the order of life, what happens? Now he goes on to talk about people who are aligned to this wheel of life. In the 17th shloka, he says, Yastvatma ratireva syat atma triptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtas tasya karyam na vidyate. So, one second, I'm just looking for this. Where are we? The 16th. Yeah. Yaha manavaha tu atmarati. So, but those who find joy, satisfaction, and fulfillment solely in the Atman have nothing left to accomplish. Right? So, yaha manavaha, those people, to atmarati, they are finding fulfillment in the Atma. They are finding joy in the Atma. Eva Atma tripta, they are finding fulfillment, satisfaction in the Atma. Cha Atmani eva santushtaha. So they don't need anything other than the inner self. Cha syat tasya karyam na vidyate. They have nothing left to accomplish. Once you are fulfilled within the self, there is no question of having any cravings to accomplish something big. Because when we think about it, who are the people who are destroying the natural environment? Who are the people who are breaking this wheel of life? The people who are greedy, people who are over ambitious, people who are thinking about short-term gains much more than the long-term damage. So therefore, people who find fulfillment within themselves, they have nothing left to accomplish. They are aligned to the Atma. So here we should not think of such a person as being selfish. A person is defined as selfish. When we say in English he's a selfish person, that means he's willing to sacrifice something else. He's willing to sacrifice either dharma, or he's willing to sacrifice friendships, or he's willing to sacrifice family for the sake of personal gain. Similarly, when we say self-centered, that means a person who is obsessed with himself, who's got a bloated ego. This is what when we use words like self-centered, selfish. But here, this person needs nothing other than the self. So there is no craving. There is no question of harming anybody. There is no question of chasing after any material wealth. So this person is fulfilled within. Exactly what is Atmanyev Atmana Tushta Sthita Prajnastadochate. He says in the 55th shloka of the second chapter, the same concept. Yaha manavaha tu Atma Ratihi. They enjoy in the Atma Truptaha. They are satisfied. Cha Atmani eva Santushtaha. They don't need anything more than that. They are fulfilled with the Atman. Chasya tasya karyam na vidyate. For them, they have nothing left to accomplish. Yes tvatma ratireva syad.
Yes tvatma ratireva syat.
Atma triptascha manavaha.
Atma triptascha manavaha.
Atmanyeva cha santushtaha.
Atmanyeva cha santushtaha.
Tasya karyam na vidyate.
Tasya karyam na vidyate.
Thank you. नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थो न कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थ व्यपाश्रयः. So such people have nothing to gain by performing action. They have nothing to lose by giving up action. They are not dependent on anybody for anything. Iha tasya kritena, that is karmana, akritena kaschana arthana eva. Iha, here in this world, right now, iha tasya kritena akritena kaschana arthana eva. They have nothing to gain by doing or by, they have nothing to fear by not doing. So whether they do or they don't do anything, they are already very, very balanced and they are established in the Atma. Asya cha sarva bhuteshu kaschid artha vyapashrayanaha. So sarva bhuteshu, all the beings, in all the beings, they have no dependency. Such people are not dependent on anything. So this is just an extension of the previous shloka. When they are completely established in the Atman, they are not craving for anything external. Naturally, whether they do anything or don't do anything, it makes no difference. If they do something, it will be for universal welfare. If they don't do anything, it will be, it won't, they won't lose, they won't feel that they have lost out something. And they are not dependent. So, how many people can truly say that they are independent? And like I said, we have a notion today that, oh, I am very independent today because I can order my food on some app and I'll get my groceries on some other app and I can buy this on Amazon or Flipkart and everything. So I'm not troubling anybody. You're troubling so many people or you are depending on so many people. Now, really, when you say not dependent on anybody for anything, means you will live on your own. You are cooking yourself, you're cleaning yourself, you're going to buy groceries yourself, everything you're doing yourself, or you're growing your own food. Because even if you're going to buy grocery, you're depending on somebody. You're growing your own food. So, like this. And more than physical dependence. So, physically, we are all going to be dependent on one another until our last. There is no escaping that as long as you have a body. Here, what he's talking about dependence is the emotional, intellectual dependence on other people, where we are not dependent mentally on people. Because physically, we will be dependent. We will, like, when we understand that everybody is working for our welfare, naturally, what is the meaning of having gratitude on other people? It means that we are dependent on their largesse. If somebody is letting me do this presentation in peace, that means so many people are not disturbing. They are sitting in their houses in the morning. They are not coming and doing galata outside my house. So to that extent, I am grateful to people. So I am dependent on the goodness of my neighbors, right? So if my neighbors are very silent and they are not creating a ruckus, then I can do whatever activity I want. So like this, when we say they are not dependent on anybody for anything, it should be taken more in the non-physical sense. Naiva tasya kritenartho.
Naiva tasya kritenartho.
Na kriteneha kaschana.
नाकृते नेह कश्चन
न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु
न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु
कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः.
कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयाः.
Then he says, Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hi acharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. Therefore, Arjuna, he's addressing and saying, constantly work with a spirit of detachment that will ensure that you attain the highest level. Tasmat, therefore, asaktaha, detached, no, not having any cravings. Asaktaha, satatam karyam karma samachara. Satatam, constantly, without a break, you without attachments. Karyam, karma samachara. Samachara is you execute, you work, you do your work with a spirit of detachment. Asaktaha hi karma acharan purushaha param apnoti. It is only through detached work. Asaktaha hi karma. Indeed, asaktaha, detached karma acharan, adhering to detached work is the way by which people attain the highest param apnoti, the highest level is attained only by this means of detached work. So in the previous shloka we saw that it, whether they work or not, naiva tasya kritenartho na akritena iha kaschana. So whether they work or not, it makes no difference to them. However, it is ideal to continue working without attachments. At no point of time does the Bhagavad Gita support laziness. It is always supporting action. And action without focusing on the result, without focusing on other external things, but focusing on the action itself. We can control only your action. So focus on the action, not on the results, not on the possible outcomes. And this detached work is the ideal. That is the one which will take you to the highest state. Tasmad asaktaha satatam
तस्मादसक्तः सततं
karyam karma samachara
कार्यं कर्म समाचर
asakto hyacharan karma
असक्तो ह्याचरन् कर्म
paramapnoti purushaha.
परमाप्नोति पूरुषः.
Then he goes on to say, Karmanyaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadayah loka sangraham evapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. So he invokes the name of a famous Rajarishi, Janaka. So he says Janaka and other great people like that, they attain perfection just by doing their work. And they work keeping in mind the welfare of the world. And you also should follow suit. You should do like what they have done. That is the best thing for you. So now he has used some abstract ideas and saying that, work in the spirit of detachment and things like that. Now he is actually giving an example. Famous kings in the past like Janaka, they are the great leaders for everybody. He says Janaka Adi. So Janaka and others, etc. Janaka, etc. Janakadayaha hi karmana eva samsiddhim asthita. So they attained siddhi just by doing their karma for the welfare of the. So they attained the highest perfection by sincerely engaging in work. Loka sangraham api sampashyan karma kartum arhasi eva. So therefore, you also should be like them, working for loka sangraha, welfare of people. Loka sangram api sampashyan, keeping in mind the welfare of the world, do your work. That's what they did. So he's invoking the name of Janaka, who, as we know, is the father of Sita. He appears in the Ramayana as the father of Sita. He appears in some of the Upanishads as a great Rajarishi, and he engages in conversation with many other rishis. So he's a very noble person, and who has shown by is a great example for everybody. So Janaka is a famous king. Again, we see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna using examples that are familiar to Arjuna. We see in the 10th chapter, 11th chapter, he uses all the examples that Arjuna already knows. Now, we may not know what that is, we may need some references, but at that point of time, it was common knowledge. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim
कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम्
asthita janakadayah
आस्थिता जनकादयः
लोकसंग्रहमेवापि
लोकसङ्ग्रहमेवापि
संपश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि.
सम्पश्यन् कर्तुम् अर्हसि.
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठस्तत्तदेवेतरो जनः स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तदनुवर्तते. So after telling about Janaka, who is a famous king, he goes on to say a great person sets an example by his or her actions, and the whole world follows the standard that this person sets. Shreshtaha yat yat acharati, the great people, what they do. Tena is understood here. Itaraha janaha, other people, tat tat eva acharati, again understood. So whatever a great person does, other people will copy them, other people will follow. Right? If Amir Khan or Amitabh Bachchan or one of them wear some particular kind of suit, everybody will follow suit. Will try to do that. If Amir Khan shaves his head for Gajini, then everybody will shave their head. If Abhinandan has some mustache when he came back from Pakistan, he was rescued. Everybody has Abhinandan mustache. So like this, it's very common, right? When we see some great person now, even in the heroine, somebody is wearing a particular kind of sari or a lehenga, something, it becomes very popular. Everybody, when Devdas came, Madhuri Dixit was wearing some kind of a lehenga, everybody started getting that. So it is very natural that when somebody who is very popular does something, people imitate. But here he's not talking about physically imitating, because it's very easy to physically imitate. I can, copy the bowling style of Javagal Srinath or Jasprit Bumrah. I can copy the batting stance of Virendra Sehwag or something. But to actually play like them is very difficult. It's easy to copy external things. I can get a haircut like somebody I admire, or I can wear the kind of clothes like somebody I admire. But here he's talking about the intellectual moral standards that they set. Right now, even today, we expect the people in public space not to, display their weaknesses in a vulgar way. There was a big controversy even recently. Anyway, well, won't go into that. But a lot of times when celebrities and uh, well-known people, they do something not decent or undignified in public space, they are really criticized, because these are the role models for children. And if the well-known people do something wrong, it affects a lot of people because they think this is the right thing to do. So it's very important for a public figure, for a well-known person, to maintain the dignity and moral boundaries that are expected from somebody of that standing. Because, like he says, the great person sets an example by his actions, and the whole world follows the standards he set. So everybody looks up. So today, if a great leader says something and does something, that becomes a sort of people listen to that and they adhere to that and they respect that. So yad yad acharati shreshtaha
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठः
तत्तदेवेतरो जनः
तत्तदेवेतरो जनः
स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते
स यत् प्रमाणं कुरुते
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते.
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते.
So the whole world will imitate a great person. So it's very, what a huge responsibility it is on the people who are well known, right? Now he has spoken about Janaka. He speaks about himself. He says, "Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avaptavyam na anavaptam avaptavyam varta evacha karmani anavaptam avaptam." So he says, there is nothing in the three worlds I have not yet accomplished. Trishu lokeshu kinchana. So in the three worlds, there is nothing I have not accomplished. There is nothing to attain that I have not yet attained. Even then, I continue to do my work. Very, very, very important shloka. It says, Partha, Trishu lokeshu me kinchanam kartavyam na asti. So I don't have any work, anything that I have not accomplished. There is no need for me to do anything. There is no work that I have left undone. Everything I have done. I've reached this highest level. Anavaptam avaptam cha na asti. There is nothing I have not attained that is yet to be attained. Like nothing to attain. I have attained everything. Once you have got everything, there is nothing remaining to be attained. Tathapi, even then, is to be understood. It's not there in the original. It's an adhyahara velu. Tathapi, karmani eva aham, again, which is not there. Aham varte. Even so, even then, I continue to do my work. So somebody like Krishna, who is accomplished in every way, who has realized, he's realized the Brahman, he has nothing to do. He need not do anything. He can just sit and do nothing. Even so, in all the three worlds, not just in the Bhumi, but Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, all the three worlds, he has nothing left to do. He can just sit quietly. He is satisfied. He doesn't need anything. He is not dependent on anyone for anything. He is satisfied in the self, all that. Even so, he continues to do the work. He continues to work. This is very, very important. We see a contrast between the actions of Balarama and Krishna. Balarama decides to stay away from the war. He is an escapist. So he's like, oh, I don't want to be part of this, and he goes away. Krishna says, I will be in the war, but I will not fight the war. I will not lift a weapon, but I will be there. So he has no stakes. If he wins the war, Krishna is not going to get anything. He's just a charioteer for Arjuna. If he gets killed in the war, well, he will get some benefit in the later, in the afterward, in the hereafter. But he personally has no great stakes in the war. He is just fighting because it is the right thing to do. So he continues to work for the sake of larger welfare and because it's the right thing to do. Name parthasti kartavyam.
Name parthasti kartavyam.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Trishu lokeshu kinchana.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Nanavaptam avaptavyam.
Varta evacha karmani.
Varta evacha karmani.
Then he says, Yadyaham na varteyam jatu karmani atandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. If I don't continue to work tirelessly, humans will blindly follow my example and sit idle without working. Just see the interesting thing. Any noble person, any ideal person, if he is lazy, doesn't do any work, anything, people also will start following that. He says, Partha, yadi aham karmani jatu atandritaha nahi varteyam tarhi sarvashaha manushyaha mama Vartmanu Vartante. They will follow my path. Vartmanu Vartante. Vartma Anuvartante. So Yadi Aham Karmani Jatu Atandritaha. If I don't work, then uh, indeed, so atandrita nahi varteyam. If I don't work tirelessly and continue to do what I am supposed to do, sarvashaha manushaha, all the people, mama vartma anuvartante, they will follow my path and they will start becoming lazy. So it is important that I work. Then the next verse is also connected to this. He says, उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका न कुर्याम कर्म चेदहम संकरस्य च कर्तास्याम उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः. If I did not work, these worlds would perish. I would become the cause of confusion and chaos, and I would be the one who destroys these beings. So he says, Aham karma na kuryam chet. If I don't work, ime lokaha utsideyuhu. These worlds, ime lokaha, all these people, all these worlds will perish. Sankarasya cha kartasyam. I will become the karta, the creator or the main cause for sankara, for chaos, for confusion. Sankara is like confusion or chaos. Imaha praja upahanyam. So these, I would be the cause for destroying these beings. So he says, even for me, although I am a realized person, although I am supreme, all these things, even then I have to do my work like everybody else. Now, just because somebody is a CEO of a company cannot say, I will not work, other people are there, let them do it. He has to work as much or even more than everybody else, he or she, right? So somebody who is at the top of the helm of affairs, who is at the top of the chain, they may not have certain kinds of work, they may have certain rebates, but even then they continue to work. A sincere entrepreneur, sincere boss will come before his employees, leave after the employees. It is only people who are, if the boss himself is coming late, then where will the employees come on time? Whereas if the boss comes and sits at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, whatever, there is suddenly the moral responsibility of everybody to come on time and do the work, right? So if a leader is working 16 to 18 hours a day, then therefore people who are working under him also will be pushed to work more. Whereas the leader is not doing that, is working 2 hours a day, then you can't expect the employees to work 10 hours to 20 hours a day. So like that, we see that, these are all observation of human nature. Whatever he has said here, we can all validate it in our own experiences, right? Yadi hyaham na varteyam
यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं
jatu karmanyatindratah
जातु कर्मण्यतीन्द्रतः
mama vartmanu vartante
मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते
manushyaha partha sarvashaha.
मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
Then he says, Utsideyurime loka
उत्सीदेयुरिमे लोका
na kuryam karma chedaham
न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं
sankarasya cha kartasyam
शङ्करस्य च कर्तास्याम्
upahanyamima prajaha.
उपहन्यामिमाः प्रजाः.
Then he says, Saktaha karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha chikirshur loka sangraham. Tatha saktash chikirshur loka sangraham. So, it is the ignorant people who work for personal benefit alone, but wise people should always work for larger welfare. Bharata, again descendant of Bharata, which is addressing Arjuna. Avidvamsaha, the people who are not vidvan, people who are not learned, the ignorant ones. avidvamsah karmani saktaah yatha kurvanti, even as yatha, just as the avidvamsa, the ignorant person, karmani, work saktaha, is working for in an attached manner, is working for a personal benefit, karmani kurvanti, even as they do that, tatha, whereas vidwan asaktaha, the wise people, in a detached manner, loka sangraham chikirshuhu kuryat, that is karma kuryat. So, just like the ignorant people, they work in an attached manner for personal benefit, the wise ones, the vidwans, they should work asaktaha, without attachments, for loka sangraha, for the welfare of the world. Right? So, another way of looking at this verse is that people who work for personal benefit with attachments are ignorant. People who work without attachments for larger good are wise. That's the corollary of this statement, right? So, saktaha karmanya vidvamso
सक्ताः कर्मण्य विद्वांसो
yatha kurvanti bharata
यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत
kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha
कुर्याद् विद्वांस्तथा सक्तः
chikirshur loka sangraham.
चिकीर्षुर्लोकसङ्ग्रहम्.
Very good. Then he says, "Na buddhi bhedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayed sarva karmani vidwan yukta samacharan." Very practical advice. He says, the wise ones should not, however, discourage the ignorant ones who are attached to action. The wise people should inspire them to learn detachment while they continue to do their work in a selfless manner. Very, very important advice to the people who have attained some amount of knowledge, who have pushed their standard a little higher. They are eager to drag the other people. It is not such a straightforward thing. So, Vidwan, he's talking about the Vidwans. Vidwan, karma sanginam ajnanam buddhi bhedam na janayet. So, we should not confuse the ignorant ones. Buddhi bhedam, that's kind of a confusion, or discourage the ignorant people, or create a sort of dilemma in the minds of the ignorant people. Right? Buddhi bhedam na janayet. So people who are attached, karma sangina, those attached to work, ajnanam, the ones who are ignorant, the wise people should not disturb them. They should not confuse them. Yuktaha karma samacharan vidwan sarva karmani joshaye. So what they should do is they should continue to work, in a detached manner and inspire the other people. Okay, so this is very important. Now we see even in today's world, in the social media and everything, that there are a lot of people who are trying to belittle beliefs and certain traditions and rituals in the name of trying to get rid of superstition. Now you say, oh, you're doing all this anushtana, it's meaningless, it is stupid, and you're all regressive and that and this. But what is the replacement you're offering? Let us say waking up in the morning and doing some anushtana is meaningless. Is there a better alternative you can give them? Is there something else you can suggest? If that is not the case, then it does not make sense to belittle and put down people who are at a lower level than you are, or who you assume to be in a lower level. Because a person who is really a vidwan, a person who is really wise, will not disturb the unwise or the ignorant. It is people who are this, like we say, the nouveau riche, who have just gained some wealth, they behave in a certain funny way. So similarly, the nouveau intellectuals who have studied one or two books, who have gained little bit of knowledge here and there by listening to a lecture, they suddenly think that they are great sannyasis, they are great saints, and they are great thinkers, and they start advising others. and they start putting down traditions and cultures and and making fun of the ignorance of other people. This is never a good thing. So what they should do, they should continue to be detached. They should do the right thing and slowly inspire people who are not on the right path. So there is no point in putting down a belief in karma and rebirth and punarjanma and all these things if you are not able to give a better alternative. If you are not able, because a belief in karma, belief in rebirth is giving solace to so many people. Whether it is true or not, the very fact that I believe in previous birth and next birth and I derive certain solace from it itself means that has certain value as far as I am concerned. Whereas somebody who is a great jnani who does not have a need for all these things, they may not require this concept, but there is no point in deriding these concepts which are bringing some solace to people. So this is a very, very important verse. It's a great guide for even for teachers, that you cannot expect the student to suddenly raise them to the highest level in one class or two classes. It takes time. You have to be patient. Not everybody learns at the same speed. So therefore, we have to continue to do the right thing and try to slowly inspire the ignorant ones, people who are lagging behind, to catch up. Na buddhi bhedam janayet
न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत्
ajnanam karma sanginam
अज्ञानां कर्मसङ्गिनां
जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि
जोषयेत् सर्वकर्माणि
विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
विद्वान् युक्तः समाचरन्.
Then he says, Prakritehe kriyamānāni gunaihi karmāni sarvashah ahankara vimūdhatma kartāham iti manyate. Now he shifts. So at 26 we finish up with the nature of the intelligent people, wise people, and importance of working and so on. Now he shifts focus on the gunas. He says all actions of material nature are driven by gunas. The gunas are at play. It is only a person who is deluded by ego who thinks I am the person who is doing. So karmani prakritehe gunaihi sarvashah kriyamanani bhavanti. So all karmas, prakritehe gunaihi are of prakriti, all actions of prakriti, all actions of material nature, gunaihi, by gunas, sarvashah kriyamanani. They are driven by the gunas. All of the actions, sarvashaha, are driven by the gunas. Ahankara vimuhudatma. Ahankara, one who is having ego, having a sense, a bloated sense of the self. Vimudhatma, who is deluded, who is confused, whose knowledge is covered by ego. Karta aham, I am the one who is doing. Iti manyate. So thus, like I told you, iti is like a close inverted comma. So karta aham is in quotes. So I am the one who is doing. He forgets that the gunas are at play. Prakritehe kriyamanani.
प्रकृतेः क्रियमाणानि
Gunaihi karmani sarvashah.
गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः
Ahankara vimudatma.
अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा
Kartaham iti manyate.
कर्ताहम् इति मन्यते.
Then he says, Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. Now, this is a complicated verse, and many times this is not very convincing. In fact, when Dr. Sri Krishna and me were trying to work on this translation, I have troubled him enough because I never really understood the meaning of this, and finally he had to take the help of D.V. Gundappa to convince me what this means. So the literal meaning of this, I will tell you, and then we will go to what it really means. Mahabaho is a reference to Arjuna, a great mighty arm. Guna karma vibhagayoho. the distinction between guna and karma. Tattvavit, the one who knows, the one who has the knowledge of reality. Tattvavit, to indeed, gunaha guneshu vartante. The gunas move about in the gunas. Iti matvana sajjate. One who knows this does not get entangled. So, what is the meaning of gunas moving about in gunas? So, translation says, Gunagalu gunagalali vartisuttade. The gunas move about in the gunas. But what does it really, what do you mean by gunas moving about in the gunas? So, it was in D.V. Gundappa's work where the clarification was found. Even that he has suggested it, but it's, you can, when you read through that, you understand what really he's trying to say, or at least this is what I understand from what he has explained. So the literal meaning is clear, right? So he says, Guna karma vibhaga yoho tattvavit, one who has a true insight into the interplay of guna and karma. So guna is innate quality and karma is the actions undertaken, right? This is very clear. Now, Guna guneshu vartante iti matvana sajjate. He does not get entangled when he realizes how these guna and karma are influenced by the collective nature of the society. So, individual gunas, individual quality, and there is a larger societal quality. So, when he realizes that the individual quality is moving about in the society, and the collective nature of the society influences the individual gunas. When he realizes that, he does not get entangled. It's exactly what happens with our customs and traditions and practices, right? So when we are living in a certain society, it does not mean that all our practices will be perfectly aligned with the practices of society. So, for example, in my family moved from Tamil Nadu in the 19th century to Karnataka. So the society around us, they speak in Kannada, but at home we speak Tamil. We speak Kannada also, but we speak Tamil at home. Similarly, we celebrate Yugadi, the Chandramana Yugadi, but we also celebrate Sauramana Yugadi because of the connection to our past. So, like this, our society is different, our home is different. Now, if you are living in an apartment complex, now you are maybe belonging to a certain community or certain varna. People in your apartment may be living maybe from different varnas, but that does not mean you are not living in harmony with them. At the same time, it does not mean you are blindly imitating them and doing whatever they are doing. So you pick up some good things from them, you share some good things to them. So this kind of mutual exchange happens in a meaningful way. Whereas if somebody is troubled by the society and the contrast between the personal qualities, the family qualities, and social qualities, then they are bound to get entangled and agitated. Whereas if one realizes that my gunas are affected by the society, my gunas are affected by the family, so the individual gunas move about in the collective gunas. This is the explanation which DVG gives. I think it is something that makes sense to me. So I'm explaining this. But literally, this is what it means. Guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajate. The gunas move about in the gunas. But what is it? Like I said, when the basic meaning does not give us sense, so when the abhida vritti is doesn't make sense, then we go to what is called lakshana vritti, which is a implied meaning. So this seems to be the implied meaning, that knowing the interplay of guna and karma, knowing that the gunas are influenced by the society and the gunas are at play, and I am not the one who is doing it. Having realized this, the person who has true understanding into the nature of guna and karma and their interplay, he is at peace or she is at peace. That's what really is trying to say here. Tattvavittu mahabaho
तत्त्ववित्तु महाबाहो
guna karma vibhagayoho
गुणकर्मविभागयोः
Guna guneshu vartanta
गुणागुणेषु वर्तन्त
iti matvana sajjate.
इति मत्वा न सज्जते.
This is prakritir guna sammudaha sajjante guna karmasu tan akritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. So those who are fooled by the gunas are attached to the actions caused by them. The wise should not disturb such foolish people. So prakritehe guna sammudaha, those who are fooled by the gunas in nature, the interplay of the guna and they don't realize that the gunas are the one behind it. So those who are fooled by the gunas and guna karmasu sajjante, they are attached to the actions caused by the guna, right? Akritsnavid, that means they have what do you say, incomplete understanding. Kritsna is complete. Akritsnavid, one who is having incomplete understanding, partial learning. Mandan, who are very slow and dull and stupid. Tan, such people. Kritsnavit, one, those who have got the complete picture. Na vichalayet, should not disturb such people. Because somebody who has a complete picture, when they are interacting with somebody who has only got a partial picture, the chances are, unless the person who has got incomplete knowledge slowly expands their horizon, they will always feel that this is what it is. Right? So if somebody, let's say you don't have peripheral vision, you can only see like a horse with a blinker, can only see what is in front, cannot see, does not have peripheral vision. Whereas human being has peripheral vision. So if the human being says, no, there is something else there. Now the horse is only here like this, it cannot see on that side. So unless it turns its head and looks at the thing which is being spoken about, it will always argue, no, there's nothing, there is only this. So, like that, the ignorant people who are slow, who are dull, who are not having a complete vision, they will only swear by what they can see, right? If they don't know the complete picture, they will not be able to appreciate. Like the famous story of the blind men and the elephant, right? So, one of them holds the trunk of the elephant and says, elephant means it will have this kind of long, flexible thing. Another one holds the leg and he says, oh, elephant means it will be like a strong pillar. Like this, everybody has a partial view. A person who can see and who has a complete picture should not go and disturb saying, no. Can you say elephant does not have this pillar kind of thing? He's also partially correct when he says it's like a pillar. The legs are like a pillar. That is the wisdom of the person who can see. So like this, the person with knowledge should not be in a hurry to go and correct somebody. This again very important for teachers. You should not go and try to immediately make the student into you. It's not possible. I still remember, when I first time I started teaching violin, I was asked by my guru to teach in his academy. And then I said, I don't have any experience. He said, unless you start, you will not develop experience. You should start teaching. So I started teaching this kid. And in the first class, it was the worst experience for me because everything, he was obviously a kid and he was doing everything wrong. Then I said, oh, you should keep your posture should be correct. Your left hand position is wrong. Right hand position is like this. Finger pressure is not okay. This is not okay. And then I was so frustrated. I went to sir and told him, sir, I cannot teach. This guy is like, it's too much of a thing. Then he said, okay, what did you try to teach him in the first class? Then I told him all the experience. Then he said, you have been learning for so many years now. You have attained all this over the years and you expect that boy to pick it up in one class. How is it possible? Focus on one thing. Let him get that right. Then over a period of time, in 2 or 3 or 4 years, slowly he will cultivate. So when the teacher also, if he's trying to disturb the student, is trying to shake the ignorant people, the person who has knowledge, it's only going to lead to more and more chaos. What is important is for them to be there as a guide. And especially when it comes to adults. Now, in case you're going to a school or a college, you are going there with a sense of submission, that I am learning from the guru, I'm learning from a teacher, the teacher knows more than me, so I should learn. Whereas in society, when all of us are like we appear equal to each other, if like say colleagues in a workplace or in a friends group or in among relatives, siblings, no, everybody thinks that they are equal to the other person. But in that group, there will be somebody who is wise, there will be somebody who is ignorant. So, therefore, the wise person, if they want to raise the standard of the ignorant, they cannot assume the position of a guru. They have to take the other person into confidence and slowly inspire them to raise the standard. So these are wonderful instructions for anybody. So it is not just so one side there is instruction for people who are disheartened and foolish and ignorant, and on the other hand there is also a guide and support and instruction for people who have learned a little bit, and there is also support for people who are very wise. So that's why Gita is Sarva Anukula Shastra, because every stage of learning, wherever you are, at whatever be your stage, there's something will be there for you. But whatever is in Gita may not be for everybody. This is something to keep in mind. Okay. Prakriter guna sammudaha
प्रकृतेर्गुणसम्मूढाः
sajjante guna karmasu
सज्जन्ते गुणकर्मसु
tan akritsna vido mandan
तान् अकृत्स्नविदो मन्दान्
kritsna vinna vichalayet.
कृत्स्नविन्न विचालयेत्.
Okay, so let us um, stop here for today, and tomorrow we will continue from the 30th shloka. Is there any other question or something on the chat? There's nothing here. Good. So I think these are some of the very, very fine verses in Gita. And like I said in the earlier class, whatever verses you like the meaning in a given chapter, make a note of that and try to start memorizing those verses first. Because if you are young, then definitely you can memorize the whole text. But for older people, we find it difficult to memorize anything. Whatever we have memorized also we are forgetting. That is our state. So therefore, now to newly memorize something is a lot of effort. So to do all 700 is difficult. At least take the ones where you really like the meaning and where you align to that meaning. Then it becomes easier to remember the words. And like I have said earlier, the whole concept of me trying to read out the verse and then give the Anvaya Krama and then again, recite it once, make you recite it. So this will inculcate the flavor of the Sanskrit original in you. And if you know any Indian language to a degree of proficiency, slowly you can start picking up and understanding these things in the original. So the second time you go through it, you will be able to follow much more of the original, and you don't have to depend on any translations and commentaries and so on, because you will get access to the original itself. That's the whole idea. It's not to make it more complicated or to take away something from take away the focus of the class. It's also important, and I think even though at this stage it may be a little heavy, I know that if you are not studied Sanskrit, or if you are not, there may be some people who don't know any other language apart from English. For such people, it may be a little bit of a heavyweight kind of a session. However, I think in the long run, it will definitely be helpful to you, and which is why I'm doing this. So there is a question on, please let us know the days we have classes. Okay. So in case you are confused about the classes, if you are living in India, then the classes are Monday to Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. India time. If you're in the US, the classes are on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the evening. So depending on where you are in the US, accordingly you see the time. I think it is 6 to 7 in Seattle, which is the Pacific time, 7 to 8 Mountain time, 8 to 9 what is it, CST, and 9 to 10 is the New York whatever Eastern time, EST. So that's the days of the classes. Okay, good. Thank you so much. And we'll meet tomorrow again at the same time, 6:30 a.m. India, and evening US time. Oh, that's.
Thank you.
A quick reminder for folks who are confused about time. The time is mentioned on the group icon. The group icon.
So the group, you're all part of the WhatsApp group, right? So the group icon itself has the timing. So that will be easy reminder. Okay. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening wherever you are. Bye.
Thank you.